When author Amal Awad visited Dubai for an authentic Bedouin experience, she found instead gaudy bellied dancers, four-wheel drives, and henna tattoo artists. As she writes, in Beyond Veiled Clichés, the real lives of Arab women, the tackiness of the so-called Bedouin camp appeals to tourists because it is perhaps the only way they can digest the Arab world. Awad, 38, wrote Beyond Veiled Clichés to present another, more real, version of the Arab world, particularly of Arab women, who are routinely exoticized and commodified to make their culture more palatable. For the book, the Sydney-sider and SBS journalist, whose parents emigrated from Palestine to Australia in the 1960s, interviewed more than 60 women both at home and across the Middle East. They include Hadiel Abdelaziz, a woman who established the first legal aid service in Jordan, and Rana Hosseini, a journalist who fights against honor killings, who talk on subjects as diverse as love, war and religion. I'm a big believer that the change will happen when we are driving the conversation ourselves, says Awad, speaking over coffee in a Sydney cafe. All these women are capable of using their voices. Guardian Australia. What inspired you to write the book? Amal Awad. For years I've read books about Arab women written by non-Arab women. It never sat easily with me. I don't think there's anything wrong with being curious about other cultures and religions. I do think it's up to Arab women themselves to tell their stories. They don't need a Westerner to come in and save the day and say, I'm going to give you a voice. Why the title Beyond Veiled Clichés? Sexuality, sex, shame, feminism, justice, activism. Funnily enough, the one topic I didn't address specifically in my initial pitch document was the veil. It was just such an obvious one that I didn't put it in. As I say in the title, I wanted to move beyond it. But when I started writing, it became extremely obvious there's no way you can talk about Arab women and not discuss it. Whether I like it or not, people are obsessed with how women dress, especially with how Arab women dress, because there is a very wide perception of Arab women all being Muslim and all Muslims wearing the veil. And it's just not true. You wore the headscarf from the ages of 21 to 30. How did people treat you in Australia, and why did you take it off when I was identifiably Muslim? People treated me differently. After 9/11 it was crazy. There was this very different energy. Taking off the veil wasn't a lack of faith, it just didn't feel like it was the best expression of my faith anymore. It was a personal decision. It wasn't a move against hijab. I never said as I took it off, well, no one should wear it. Photograph. Penguin Books. What interests you about the veil outside the Muslim faith? What do people think? They see oppression. They see unthinking women. They see a person who hasn't necessarily made a choice. I just see a person who wears a veil. It can mean everything and nothing to a person. Have you experienced racism in Australia? Don't shine too bright. Don't step too high. Don't try to be better than the people who are meant to be here. I'm not somebody who cries racism. You have to just be very determined and not take it personally. What differences stood out between the Arab women you interviewed in Australia and in the Middle East? In Australia, the Muslim Arab women were very, very much about identity and belonging. These were huge elements in their lives. How they dressed was very important, the abuse they'd experienced in wearing the hijab, also the fact that they were so resilient. They would ask, do I talk about problems in my community at risk of alienating wider Australia? If I admit there's domestic violence in my community, am I throwing them under a bus? In the Arab world you were free to be just you, your identity wasn't the centerpiece, it wasn't the thing that drove you. I think people completely underestimate Arab women in the Middle East, just how active they are in society, how switched on, how aware they are of the problems they have to deal with and work on. What takeaway should we have from the book? We live in a world where everything is #friendly and quick. I have to give you a bite-sized solution. The outrage economy that is so huge right now, maybe it feels good for 5 minutes, but is it helpful? The book is about progressing this conversation about Arab women, by showing what you think is black and white is multicolored. I'm not interested in everybody agreeing with each other all the time, but we need to live together, and the way we do that is through stories. Amal Awad is speaking at Women of Letters at Antidote, at the Sydney Opera House on the 2nd of September.